They have taken the 1-0 lead against Milwaukee, so basically have taken back home court advantage as of right now. But so that being said, I'm gonna go to you. Who do you have winning this series, and did that change after last night, or sorry? So let me start with this. Who do you have winning the series?
Talking about the East, right? Sorry, I
East.
was
So
just
so
reading
yeah,
something.
Milwaukee Bucks, Atlanta Hawks. As of right now, Hawks up 1-0.
Yeah. Man, this series might be the toughest for me because I've picked against the Hawks 2 times in a row, and I've been wrong twice. I mean, I did flip on the 76ers in game 7, but at that point, it just felt like there was just so much wrong with Philadelphia, and Embiid and Seth Curry were really the only two ones that were performing. And that's exactly how it went in the last game. So I still consider me getting that series wrong because I picked Philadelphia from the get go, and so it's just weird because honestly, my brain is telling me the Bucks, right? But at the same time, the performance Atlanta put on last night, and honestly, probably before last night, I would have said the Bucks easily. But the performance that Atlanta put on last night, Trey Young is just he is going crazy. I think that for me at least, he's a superstar, right? Like that. I know some people don't want to put the super in front of his name yet, but I think he's a superstar. He's the best player on a team that's in the Eastern Conference Finals. He's going crazy, and unlike some of these other teams, like even the Phoenix Suns, who I'm rooting for to win the title, right? Like they faced a banged up Lakers team, a Nuggets team who didn't have Jamal Murray, and now a Clippers team who doesn't have Kawhi Leonard. The Hawks have not had that, right? They faced a healthy Knicks team who was red hot going into the end of the season. They faced a healthy 76ers team for the most part. Embiid played every game, although he was coming off injury, but healthy for the most part. And it's just tough to go against the Hawks. But at the same time, the Bucks, it feels like this should be their year. But I got to do what I've been doing throughout the playoffs, and I got to go with my gut. And for some reason, all day today, and maybe it was the game last night, and it's just recency biased, but I'm picking the Atlanta Hawks. I don't know why. It just feels like the Hawks are just kind of on a roll right now. They're unstoppable. They feel like the Miami Heat last year, to where they shouldn't be winning these series, but they are. And I I don't know. Milwaukee, they historically choke. Last night they had a great game from Giannis and Drew Holiday, and they still weren't able to get it done. We've seen Atlanta has had players like Kevin Huerter and Bogdanovich, and all these guys have stepped up when it matters most. So yeah, I don't know. I'm taking the Hawks. It feels weird because I picked the Bucks to win that net series, but once Kyrie went out, it just I don't know. It didn't feel like the Bucks ever truly grabbed hold of it. And I don't know if the Hawks, with the way that they're playing right now and being fully healthy, I don't know if they're going to allow the same mistakes to you know work in the Bucks' favor.
Okay. Well, so yeah, I think I've gotten every Hawks series wrong.
Same.
But I'm gonna stick with Milwaukee because that's who I was gonna pick even before Game One, and I still think they can pull it around. I just don't think Chris Middleton goes 6 for 23 again.
Right.
And I gotta imagine they're gonna have a better game plan going forward and not let Trae Young get 48, drop 48 points on them,
Right.
especially defensively. Um, so, and I didn't watch much of the game, so I'm not sure how they guarded Giannis. But Giannis still seemed to have a solid game. And so it's tough too, and I think too that Milwaukee's bench is better. And granted, I think we're seeing that they're really missing just another guy in Dante DiVincenzo, someone else that can get their own bucket or just be a reliable spot up shooter and just another solid defender. I mean, because right now it's either like Pat Connaughton, who's just kind of raw and just okay at everything, you know, or Bryn Forbes, who's a good shooter but not a good defender. And trust me, I know that he was on the Spurs. So yeah, just they're in a tough spot in regards to that injury left them in a tougher spot. But I just once again I'm gonna go with the fact that I don't think the Hawks have much to stop Giannis and Middleton. You know, once again Middleton struggled. I know he struggled yesterday, um, but I could very easily be wrong. I mean, John Collins had a solid game yesterday. He's been playing one kind of like Aiton, who we'll talk about later. He's been really stepped up these playoffs, and I didn't think that he would be able to elevate his game, but he has. I mean, Capella's still been really solid for them too. So um, it wouldn't shock me at this point if the Hawks do pull this off. I think this will be a 6 or 7 game series. And regardless of what happens, I mean, Atlanta, it was one of those teams I think we talked about. Maybe we didn't talk about on the podcast, but before the season, a lot of people were like, "Man, it's a really good team on paper." And maybe I said this too, really good team on paper, but I just don't think they'll put it together this year. But they're proving otherwise. Especially, I mean, if he had said they would go through a coaching change midway through the season too, I
Be
wouldn't,
basically 500 at that point
and
too.
I wouldn't have expected them to get this far and be doing this well, but they are. And I think, and yeah, and especially without Cam Reddish and they're missing their other path pick, DeAndre Hunter. Two. I mean, not saying they're great players, but they're two, top 10, top 5 picks that can be key contributors at this moment. It speaks volumes to the fact that that other guys are stepping up, even though Herter's also been a good player for a while, but hasn't really elevated until now. So I think this will be a good series regardless. But I'm gonna go with Bucks in like 6 or 7, probably 7. So yeah. Anything else you want to add there?
I mean, this, like I said, this is just the toughest series for me to pick because once again, my brain says to go with the Bucks, but the Hawks are they've exceeded all of my expectations so far, and so at some point, I felt like I had to pick them, to win at some point, and maybe this is where I'm wrong, and this is where the train stops, and I do worry about that because the Bucks went through a lot worse in those first 2 games with the Nets, and then in Game 3, it was a total turnaround. And so I do believe in Mike Budenholzer's ability to make coaching changes and to switch things up and employ different styles of defense. And so I do think that Trae Young is going to see some different looks than he did in Game 1. I mean, there was points in Game 1. There was one specific play where, like, he walked up the court and I don't think anybody guarded him. I think there was just some sort of miscommunication. He just shot the ball, made the three, and
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to tighten up their execution, start throwing double teams at Trae Young, all this kind of stuff, force other guys to beat them because, him putting up, what was it, like 49 or something in that
48.
game?
Yeah, 48.
Yeah, 48. I don't think that happens again. But at the same time, like I said, the Hawks just keep proving me wrong. And so, you know what? If I'm wrong this time about them, then I'm an idiot,
That's
but
just
I'll
unlucky.
take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.